You're listening to Soap Dirt, the latest in television entertainment news.
Hey, Bold and the Beautiful fans. So I am very worried after recent scenes with Thomas Forrester that Matt Atkinson is already on the way out the door at B&B if he's not already gone. Meanwhile, Luna Nozawa should be going to prison, but may just be getting started, and Lisa Yamada is indeed sticking around. It's Belinda from Soap Dirt, and we're going to talk about why we suspect Thomas is leaving soon and that Luna is about to get a huge redemption arc for basically the second time and exactly what Brad Bell may be trying to do. Please hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. And first, we're going to talk about Thomas. You know, we were left waiting over a year to see Matt Atkinson back on the scene, and frankly, his return has been suspicious from the jump. So last time we saw Thomas in July 2024, he was back to plan his wedding. He had Paris with him. They were talking to Eric about doing their nuptials at the Forrester mansion. And he had his son Douglas with him, and Thomas and Paris and Douglas were all happily planning their future as a family. Hope begged him to leave Paris and come back to her. He didn't. And then we didn't get a wedding, after many months of Thomas being gone. And then he and Paris and Douglas just disappeared. And then a year goes by, slightly more than a year. So then we have him back. And I suspect Thomas may be on his way back out like a revolving door almost as quickly as he returned. And I have red flags and evidence to tell you about. And I do have a theory of why Brad Bell brought back Matt Atkinson for what may feel like just a moment, but not for good. And I think it was to fill in a gap left by another actor. I'm going to lay it all out for you. I got receipts. More so, though, I feel like they brought back Thomas to give fans a glimpse and to offer a sliver of closure, tie up loose ends before they get rid of the character for a good long while, like they did with Darren Brooks as Wyatt Spencer. A last scene or two, then gone. So the first red flag that Thomas isn't staying is that he came back alone. Now, it's completely plausible to say that he and Paris split. That's not a deal breaker. As a matter of fact, that would be advantageous because then Thomas comes back single. But the fact he came back without his son Douglas, that's the huge red flag, because it wouldn't happen if he was staying, maybe bring the kid back for 1 or 2 episodes and then say he's at boarding school or whatever. But he very clearly left his son behind in Paris. The second red flag is that Matt Atkinson is listed in the credits, which I'm about to show you, in the recurring area. If you don't know, B&B does credits like 1 or 2 times a week. They list them first in alphabetical order with contract players in the first section after the directors and writers. And then after all the contract players, they restart in alphabetical order and list the recurring actors. So in the contract area, Kimberlin Brown is the first one listed, followed by Rebecca Budig as Taylor and Scott Clifton as Liam. But Matt Atkinson is listed in the recurring area right before Jennifer Garais as Donna and Naomi Matsuda as Lee Finnegan. He's the very first recurring actor listed because his last name starts with A. If they really were bringing Thomas back in a meaningful way, then Matt Atkinson would be listed in the contract section, but he is not. Red flag. Now, the third red flag is that there's not really room in the storyline for Thomas. Hope is torn between her ex-husband Liam Spencer and her fiance Carter Walton. She's got her hands full, and that means there's probably no Thope reunion coming. And realistically, there aren't any other single ladies around for Thomas. So the fourth red flag is that he was ready to throttle Brooke for stealing Ridge from his mom. Thomas literally had his hands on Brooke and was ready, it looked like, to do something crazy. Then Ridge intervened, and then there's a 5-minute convo where Brooke and Ridge said they bonded over her near death in Italy. And then suddenly Brooke takes Thomas's hand, and then he takes hers, and then they hug it out. And they're cool. Really? All that build up for nothing. This is one of my top frustrations with Brad Bell as a writer. He builds things up to where there should be a big boom, this big climax, and instead we get a fizzle. So those are the red flags. And then here's my theory of why they brought back Matt Atkinson for what looks essentially like a guest arc. They needed somebody to be outraged about the Ridge and Brooke reunion hurting Taylor. They needed somebody from her family there as her defender, and Jackie Wood is out on maternity leave, so Steffy couldn't do it. So I believe, just my theory, that Thomas is basically there as a placeholder for his sister Steffy as somebody to express outrage over what Ridge has done to Taylor. But now Jackie Wood is back to filming. She gave birth to kid number 5, is it? So many kids. She is amazing at balancing, her personal and professional life and looking great all throughout the pregnancies so that they keep them covered really well. So it's not going to be too long until Steffy is back on screen again. And I do suspect that we are going to soon be saying goodbye to Thomas. I think they never planned for Matt Atkinson to stay. And this is my theory. As I said, I would love it if I'm wrong because I really do like Thomas. But he may head back to France to be with Douglas, get his life back on track as Ridge recommended. And maybe Thomas says he's going to stop and see Steffy and explain that their dad married Brooke, so she's not shocked when she returns. I think Thomas is going, but I think double murderer Luna is going to stick around. She just shot Liam and Sheila and tried to shoot Steffy and just molested Will. Despite all that, I think Brad Bell is just getting started with Luna. So this week, Lee is choking Luna, but Bill and Will stop her. They don't care, but they do want to see Luna in prison. And I doubt that's going to happen. Bold and the Beautiful spoilers do indicate Luna is pregnant. She just peed on a stick at Remy and Deke's place. It's in her purse, so Luna may pull it out, or maybe in the struggle with Lee, it falls out. This is what Luna was hoping for when she did the deed with Will. Official B&B spoilers say Luna begs not to be sent back to prison and tells Bill that he's going to be a grandfather. Will is the father of her baby, she says. I'm guessing they won't believe it, but I'm sure Lee can do a paternity test. So Luna's crazy plan may actually work. I'm sure Katie and Bill aren't going to want their grandchild born behind bars, although I bet Katie may say, let Luna rot, and then when she pops the baby out, we'll just take the kid. Poor Will is going to be just devastated because now this is one more horrible thing that he has got to tell Elektra. Luna's pregnancy should be a big storyline that unfolds Katie, Bill, Luna, Lee, Sheila, Deacon, a very ticked off Deacon, by the way, and also maybe Remy and Deke, if he is indeed Deacon's son, which after seeing his debut episode, I expect even more so that he is, because he recognized Luna and he was very indignant about her. And if he is Deacon's son, then that's the woman standing there that killed 2 of his dad's friends. And just real quick, just from a casting perspective, here's a photo of a very young Sean Kanan back when he was over on General Hospital playing AJ Quartermain next to Harrison Cohn as Deke. I mean, if we're casting to look like Daddy, you can see it.
Thank you for being a loyal listener. Follow us wherever you get your podcast, because you don't want to miss the next episode. Soap Dirt is on all the major podcast platforms, including Apple Podcast, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and more.